Welcome to the first episode of our spin-off podcast, I Love This Book with Dr. Shafer. I'm so excited to have you here today with me as we begin this journey of sharing books that we love. You might recognize me from my health and wellness podcast, Talks with Dr. Shafer. You may also know that I'm a children's literature focused publisher and a kidlit author. And I have met so many amazing authors and have read so many amazing books. I am so inspired to start this new journey with you where we share books that we love. If you have books that you absolutely love and you want to share with the world, head over to my website, drshaferstedranova.com. We'll have it linked in the show notes as well. And let me know. I would love to read those books and share them because book love, it's not pie. The more you share it, the bigger your piece gets. So let's make sure we're sharing those recommendations and really enriching one another's lives through literature because there is so much to be found. And we really need all of the amazing stories of community, love, growth, perseverance, and more that we can find in literature today more than ever. Today, I'm sharing a beautiful and moving book that I picked up at the Barnes & Noble at the Mall of America this summer, written by local author Keenan Jones and illustrated by Ken Daley. The book, Saturday Morning at the Shop, shares the memories of a young boy who grew up frequenting the same barbershop every week and how the shop came to represent more than just a place to get his hair cut. It became a vibrant community, a home away from home, where he felt a sense of belonging and learned so much about life beyond the barbershop walls. One thing that makes us love children's books and really connect with a story is when an author can create a book that brings us back to the moments of our childhood that were special to us, to the places that we remember fondly, the sounds, colors, smells, everything that went into making that moment special. Books can open up those memories for us and help us share them with others. When we share those special memories and feelings with a child and inspire them to see the awe and beauty in the everyday moments that they are living, a special and deep moment of connection happens. Those places of our childhood that gave us a sense of belonging and being a part of community are so special and were integral in forming our ideas about the world and about relationships. Our kids are having their own pivotal moments and experiences, and they love the sense of connection that they have when they learn that we too once were kids. We too reveled in the novelty of going to the barbershop, sitting in that chair, getting a nice hair wash and a fresh cut, sharing stories with the stylist, hearing the music and the hustle of the shop, the conversations, seeing the old cut hair get whisked away like it never existed, hair now perfectly styled, mirrors artfully angled to give you the perspective that this moment of change is meaningful, that you are getting out of that chair and putting your best foot forward as you step out into the world. And you are taking the memory of that micro community with you because it wasn't just a haircut. It was an experience. And for some, a transformational one. In our busy world, we all long to capture the beauty of those special moments, but we often don't pause and allow ourselves the time to really notice and experience them. That is the beauty of books that magically capture these moments, making it so that we can share them. And in taking the time to pause and read a book like this, we are giving ourselves that gift of not only remembering those special moments, but creating new ones with our kids and showing them the beauty of community. Those are my thoughts on why I love this book. And here today, I am so excited to have a special guest, the author, Keenan Jones, coming to us from Minneapolis, Minnesota, to share more about his wonderful book. Keenan and I met at the Turning Pages Changing Lives event this summer at the Mall of America, where Keenan was reading his impactful book Saturday morning at the shop. And Keenan has graciously agreed to join us today and share more about the book and the mission behind it. Keenan, thank you so much for being here today.
And thanks for having me. Appreciate this opportunity to talk about my book.
What inspired you to write this beautiful book and to share this particular impactful moment with readers?
Well, I think there's a long answer and a short answer, and so I'll try to blend in between the two. I think what inspired me to write the book was, for one, I've always been a reader and a writer. I've had a long journey outside of education and writing in basketball. So I was playing basketball, and I ended up having a career-ending injury my junior year of college. And I had a creative writing professor who just saw talent in me and just told me to continue to write. And so that writing, this was around 2009, 2010, that writing kind of got me out of my depression. So I started teaching elementary school, started reading picture books, and then I started noticing that there was not a lot of diverse representation of picture books and then black males in picture books. So 2010 to 2020, I'm just kind of just writing random stories, trying to figure out how to write a picture book. And then the pandemic happened. And I think the turning point where it was like, okay, I got to write a book. I have to write a book about the barbershop. Obviously, we had the tragic murder of George Floyd. And I was teaching eighth grade English at the time. And I had a meeting, a Zoom meeting with about 30 young black boys who were crying and just trying to process through this tragedy. And then it kind of hit me. And I said, you know, I'm not necessarily the protesting type, shout out to the people on the front lines, but I wanted to do something creatively. And I was like, okay, I got to write a picture book. But I didn't know what it was going to be about. I thought I was going to go the social justice route. And then the barbershops were closed. And I was getting hairy, and my beard was, well, I can't really grow like a super big beard, but, things weren't looking too well. And then the barbershop opened back up. And literally, the minute I walked into the barbershop and I just saw black men and boys of all ages smiling, talking, connecting, I said, this is it. I got to write a book about the barbershop. And then did research and noticed that there weren't too many titles out there. So that was part of the inspiration for the book.
That is so interesting how you captured and encapsulated in the book what you'd been missing, which wasn't just simply getting a haircut the way you were used to, but the community of the barbershop.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big things of the book is community. And then I think about my childhood, growing up in Indiana and Illinois, and my grandfather was a politician in Gary, Indiana in the 70s and 80s, and he was always big on community and giving back to your community, and your neighbors are not just your neighbors, they're extended family members. And so all of that kind of came out and poured out into the book. And you can see it in many of the scenes of the book where you see a lot of laughter and folks just being in communication with each other.
Well, you can see it, you can feel it, and certainly wanted to talk later about the absolutely stunning illustrations that so perfectly accompany your words, the way that you capture these feelings so succinctly and so directly, which I think is really the magic, especially when you're working in children's literature, to be able to present these ideas and capture these moments and these feelings so concisely to really bring readers into that moment with you no matter what their age is. Now, you are an educator working in literacy intervention currently, serving
Yes.
6th through 8th grade students. How do you feel that stories like yours, Saturday Morning at the Shop, can be used in a school setting to promote mindfulness and cultural awareness?
Wow, man, it's there's so many themes that are being pulled from the book now. I mean, I'm getting emails from educators. There's actually an educator who just created a unit about the book, all about like self-expression in hair, right? And so I think there's so many themes from community to even even thinking about our elementary, our youngest kiddos, right? Uh, the barbershop being one of my favorite places, and so having themes around what is your favorite place. I was at the Minnesota State Fair, which is the number one state fair in America, and there's a part of the fair that's called the Alphabet Forest, and the Alphabet Forest is dedicated to authors and literacy. So, a lot of folks, when they're at the fair, they got young children. Maybe they just want to take a break from all of the madness and just get some books and art projects. And one of my art stations was create your own hairstyle. And so I was able to allow young people to draw a picture of their face, whatever color they wanted, and then I had tons of different color strings of yarn, and it was amazing watching young kids of all cultures, all races, all ages, just create these just incredible hairstyles with yellow and blue and red. And so again, I think there's just so many things of self-expression, your favorite place, and then just this cultural awareness around the barbershop, which I also hear from people who don't really know that goes on in the space. And as you stated, right, like it's more than just a haircut. There's just this experience that goes on in a barbershop that's just full of connection and wisdom and love.
You segued into this perfectly. What is some barbershop wisdom that you remember from your childhood that stuck with you years later?
I had a local educator, like in the barbershop in the community, everybody comes there, right? Teachers, pastors, firemen, police officers, local businessmen. And there was an educator who always would come in, and his one word was always like, when the basketball stops, what are you gonna do? It was all the time, Keenan. That ball gonna stop bouncing one day. What are you gonna do? And back then, it was like when the ball stops, the ball's not gonna stop. And for me, you know, uh, it did stop for me, and it stopped in a way that I didn't want it to. And I started, during that time, it was like I knew I had to have a plan, right? And I think back to that local educator in my neighborhood who would always say, "When the ball stops, what you're going to do," and it makes sense now. And that's a message that I have for a lot of young athletes that it is going to stop one day. So, what is going to be your next chapter?
Don't be scared, be prepared. And I love also what it brings up for me, and I'd be curious about your reflections on this too, is that you're more than a basketball player, right? This is a chapter of your story. And especially for young people, learning who they are as complete and whole individuals and not get swept up in the excitement
Mm-hmm.
of just one thing and then box themselves
Mm-hmm.
in so tight they have nowhere to grow.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And it's like I wish that I would have had more of that mindset as a young person, you know. But growing up where I grew up, right? Illinois, Indiana is basketball heavy, and so I always had this like hidden talent for reading and writing. But I grew, I got tall, I got really good, and everybody thought I was going to be that next thing. Um, but I think that it's always important to have like a backup plan and keep your mind open to all of the possibilities because anything is possible.
Yeah, that's beautiful. As an aside, when I was growing up on the south side of Indy, so we're fellow Hoosiers. When I was growing up
Oh,
on
really?
the yeah, I'm from the south side of Indianapolis.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I grew up in the time when R&B was really popular in
Yeah.
Indianapolis, and I was a recording
Babyface.
artist. Oh, yeah, exactly. So this was kind of like right after Babyface was just so hot and so amazing and so well known, so
Uh-huh.
successful. Then um, the R&B scene got really, really big because before it had been more jazz. So
Uh-huh.
R&B was really big, and I was actually a recording artist as a very young kid. I mean, I was professional when I was 14, so really young.
Wow.
And I was singing R&B with some really cool producers and songwriters in Indianapolis. But something that happened to me, especially in my school setting, was I became a bit of a commodity and a persona. Just like you talked about your
Wow.
time as a basketball player, you get kind of wrapped up in this
Uh-huh.
idea
You
of
get
who
wrapped up.
you are. And it's so easy to
Yep.
say, like, that's who I am, that's my identity. And again, you box yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar experience with music. And I think it's interesting because, sport versus music, but there is a similarity in my mind to, I think when you do music or when you do sports, there's also this idea that you're maybe not as academically inclined, right? Those are your focus. So then you start to believe some of these ideas about yourself. Well, I'm doing this because I'm not that smart, So
Mm-hmm.
so maybe I won't even bother going to college because I'm a musician, or maybe I won't even bother go to college because, or
No,
if I do go to
seriously.
college, just to be a college, play college ball. I won't worry about my major. I'm doing the college ball, and
Mm-hmm.
it can take some time, and it takes, I think, a lot of strength and self-reflection to not listen to that noise and just stay true to who
Mm-hmm.
you are as a whole person. I think as educators, it is such a beautiful gift to
Mm-hmm.
tell them, yeah, you're a great ball player. That's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. But who else are you? Because the ball will
Mm-hmm.
stop bouncing. I think that
Mm-hmm.
really resonates with me because with music too, I really didn't focus on academics until I went to
Mm.
college, and I only went to college at NYU, New York University, because it was in New York City, and that's where I wanted to be working in
We
music.
want to be. Yeah.
That's the
That's
only
interesting.
reason.
Wow.
But then now I'm a physician, right? So something happened in my life being at that institution. Like you said, when you have certain educators in your life, especially,
Mm-hmm.
that say tap tap tap, by the way, you're more than this, you're really smart, or you're
Mm-hmm.
really talented writer, or you have really good
Mm-hmm.
opinions. Let's lean into those and explore those. That helps open up your experience as an individual so much. And I'm so grateful to the people in my life, and I'm so grateful to the people in your life who helped you see yourself more fully.
Wow. Yeah, and then even to that, like the skills that you probably gained from being a recording artist, how they like transfer over to like what you're doing now, like the same way basketball and doing interviews and you know, just the perseverance piece and all of that, how it transfers over to what I'm doing now. And so, and Indiana, wow, yeah, so Gary and then my dad's whole family is from South Bend.
There you go. Oh yeah, I've spent a
Yep,
lot of time in that neck of the woods, so to speak.
yep, 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 yep.
In northern, and now I'm up in northern Michigan, but still,
Yeah,
that
Northern
Lake
Michigan,
Michigan,
that
it's
Lake
a it's a
Michigan.
beautiful
Yeah,
area. Yeah,
yeah, I love it. I love it.
absolutely. Do you have any advice for educators and parents to help them encourage kids to find their place in their community? And why is it so important that we help facilitate that actively for our children?
Yeah, I just think, right now we're in this place where, I just had this conversation with my class today about we're just like so driven by social media and we get trapped in these worlds on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, which are like real, but like they're not your life. It's like somebody else's life. And so, I encourage parents, caregivers, right? Like take the devices away, take them to a park, take them to a museum, Take them to the library, take them to places where they can really find out who they are and be imaginative and not get stuck in these like TikTok-y video game worlds that our kids are in all the time. And I just think it's important that that's a great way for them to find themselves and be imaginative and be able to dream and find out who they are as a person, aside from being in these other worlds. So, and then books, right? Surrounding our kids with books and books that they love to read and things that they're interested in, so they can find themselves lost in those worlds and those books. I think that's a great way for us to get young people in, really being in tune with themselves.
I love that. And I love this idea because social media, it becomes a bit of a silo because of the algorithm. You get what you look
Hmm.
at for more than a few seconds, right? So
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
see a few similar videos and all of a sudden that's what you think the whole world is like. Whereas if you go to the
Hmm.
library and you even just start with children's books because they are so
Yep.
digestible and you can read them
Absolutely.
quickly, right? You don't have to be 6, 7, 8 to enjoy a children's
Hmm.
book. Go
Hmm.
to the children's book section. If you're feeling drained from social media, just go to the children's literature section, grab books that literally you look at the cover and something resonates with you, sit down and read 10 books.
Yes,
And
it's powerful.
it is so powerful. And it gives you the opportunity to see varied worldviews and
Hmm.
then move forward from that, focused not on getting more and more lost in these worlds like kids do in the video games and
Hmm.
on that algorithmic journey in social media, but pick and choose. Okay, I've experienced these worlds. Now I'm going to build my own. And what do I want it to look like?
Absolutely. I was at Midwest Writers Workshop, which is like a long time workshop for writers at Ball State. And I was a faculty member there in 2024. And there was a professor from Purdue University. She taught courses somewhere in the realm of diversity, and she said she loves buying children's books to teach to her students because, like you said, of the world views that children's books and picture books bring. And so she thinks they're just wonderful teaching tools, not just for kids but for college students.
I couldn't agree more, and such a great starting off point, and we all have pretty limited attention spans, right? That's not,
Yes.
social media didn't help that, but just in general, the human brain was never really designed to have a long attention span. So there's something
No.
so really useful and helpful of the format of a children's book and of the use of the imagery of the pictures, which most children's books have those, but it's imagery that invites you to be a part of it, but it doesn't take over control of your own imagination
No.
like sometimes movies or shows do.
Absolutely. There's a scene in the book where the young boy and his friends are at there's the vending machine. So, $2 will get you right, $5 will have you full. And I was at Barnes and Noble in Milwaukee, and there's a young man who came up and he started looking at the vending machine, and he's like, "Those are Lay's potato chips. Those are Skittles. Those might be cheddar sour cream." So he was like looking at like the colors of the packaging of in the vending machine, envisioning what type of candy they were. And then we started getting into the conversation of like, why couldn't you just put Skittles on there or Lay's and copyright and all of that stuff? But it was something that I didn't think about that. And when I looked, I was like, oh my gosh, like that looks like a bag of Lay's, or that definitely could be a bag of Skittles. So, like you're saying, like it allows you, picture books allow you to just take these little illustrations and pictures and just let your mind wander in a good way.
Absolutely. And I will say too, the artistry, the illustrations. I love also the approach, because I think there's something beautiful about the thicker lines of the illustrations too, that they're
Hmm.
not exact. And again, that
Hmm.
allows children and readers to see more, to use their imagination to fill those gaps a little bit more. So I think even that aspect is really inviting for the reader to experience the book on a personal level, which is so beautiful. And certainly what I did. Now, the first time I experienced the book was you reading the book and on a really giant screen with the beautiful
Oh
illustrations. And
man, I know. Yes.
I was simply awestruck. I waited patiently to get to come up to you and talk to you, or impatiently at times, because I was just so excited and I didn't want you to walk away without me telling you, one, how much I appreciate your work, and two, how much I would love to share it here. And this is the first episode of I Love This Book with Dr. Shafer, spinoff of my podcast, Talks with Dr. Shafer. And I couldn't think of someone that I wanted to have on the show more to help introduce this new way of presenting children's books that are really, really impactful, as well as adult literature as well. Books that I just love so much and I want to share with people. Now, in your author's note at the end of your book, you say that, quote, I learn something every time I step in the barber shop, and I leave feeling better than when I came in. I know readers will feel better after reading your book than they did before they began reading as well. And I'm just so grateful for you joining me today to talk about the book.
And I'm grateful for this opportunity and this platform and this new work that you're doing and trying to elevate readers and authors, and especially in the time that we're in now, where I've learned just through my journey over the past 7, 8 months, and I've been everywhere from Michigan to New York to Nova Scotia in Canada, and it's the same thing. Like, books just bring people together, and it's just a beautiful thing. And there's a reason why we have books on this planet, because they just do something for the mind and the soul. But I've just been able to be around so many different people in so many communities, and it's just something about a book that just brings people together in a great way. So
It is magical, and your book is full of magic. And I'm so excited that we were able to introduce it to our audience if they haven't been fortunate enough to find it in their Barnes and Noble, their local bookstore. How can readers best get their own copy of your book? And what ages do you recommend for your book or grade level?
So the book is really widely available. I mean, obviously your big box stores, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, they all are storing the book, but it's really readily available online anywhere. Amazon, Simon and Schuster, any of these independent online bookstores. So I'm blessed that people can get the book any and everywhere, whether it's at a physical store or online. So just if you just Google Saturday morning at the shop, there's going to be a link somewhere that's going to pop up with the book. And then the ages, the book is 4 through 8, but I I would literally say birth to who knows, you know what I mean? Birth to 100, because I have people literally of all ages buying the book. There's not an age group that has not bought my book and not enjoyed the book. So, it's just one of those books that is just for any and everybody. So, if you love books, if you love a good book, a good picture book, I think you should grab it because it's for everybody.
I couldn't agree more. And I hurried and got my copy. And I think it was the last copy that they had on hand in the bookstore. So I was really excited that
Wow.
I snatched it when I could. And I couldn't find you again, so I couldn't get it signed, but we'll do it next time we see each
Oh
other.
yeah, absolutely. And, maybe I'll be in Michigan again. I was in Kalamazoo in April, so I'd love to come back to Michigan.
Us Michiganders would be very fortunate to have you. And so hopefully this will also be a way to connect you with other schools, although I know you're very busy because you are now back in the classroom working with the amazing youth in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we are so grateful for the important work that you do. Thank you so much, Keenan Jones. And thank you to the incredibly talented Ken Daley for his vibrant illustrations that bring us into the moments of Keenan's story and into the barbershop so beautifully. Thank you to you both for such an uplifting and connecting experience.
Yeah, I appreciate this opportunity. And yeah, special shout out to Ken Daley. He's one of the, hottest illustrators out right now out of Canada. So I'll go check out all of his work. Ken Daley.
That's wonderful. We love supporting everyone who's a part of these projects because we know that they are not one person shows. These incredible works of art, they do take a team. And I know you mentioned your publisher as well and the opportunities you've had to go around the world and share this story. And that's something that not everyone necessarily has that behind behind the curtain look at what goes
Mm-hmm.
behind creating such a beautiful piece of art. But I'm so grateful that this has been shared with the world and that you were able to come on Talks with Dr. Shafer today to share it with our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shafer.
We hope you will join us next time for another book review on I Love This Book with Dr. Shafer. Do you love a book? Go to my website, www.drshaferstedjanova.com, and let me know. We may just feature the book you love in an upcoming episode of I Love This Book with Dr. Shafer. Until next time, storytellers, stay safe and take care and read a great book. That's better.